Tennessee's wide receivers? Are they misusing them? 4 Downs brought to you by our good friend Medicare Misty. Cooper, what should people do that want to follow the program? Oh, they shouldn't do that. Let's try again. As they should do this.
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
What down, Coop?
Coop here. First down.
Where's Mike Matthews? Where is Mike Matthews? I wrote about that today on Off the Hook Sports. If he doesn't have an impact this week, I'm going to be disappointed in Tennessee's coaching staff. I'm not a guy that gets all on board just because a guy is highly touted in recruiting, but he was that a 5-star by ESPN, a 4-star by most everybody else. And he did play and has played quite a few times, quite a few plays over the past couple of weeks, but there doesn't seem anything to be designed to get the ball to him. And he hasn't caught a pass since the Kent State game in which he had 2 catches and a touchdown. Caleb, how troublesome is the lack of getting Mike Matthews involved?
You know, I actually, I predicted he'd be he'd take a starting wideout role opposite Bru McCoy earlier this year, and that just never materialized. I don't think it's as disturbing as you think, because I think Josh Heupel has a level of arrogance about him where he plays seniority with players he picked. So in his mind, he's like, I picked these other wideouts. Obviously, they're better right now because they're more experienced in my system. So I'm going to go with them for right now, even though I do believe in Mike Matthews long term. That's probably what Josh Heupel's thinking. And the other part, I think they spent a little bit of extra time trying to develop a rapport with a specific set of more veteran receivers with Tennessee, and it has come at the expense of Mike Matthews.
Okay, but that's what they've done the entire time that Josh Heupel's been at Tennessee. I mean, we were told in the offseason that and I got questioned about this on Facebook. Well, you just have to trust what they say, and practices aren't open. And I'm not knocking the fact that practices aren't open. They're not open anywhere. But we were sold a bill of goods that Chaz Nimrod was much better, and he looks much the same. And we were sold that Mike Matthews would have an early impact. Now, I want to defend a couple of the guys, in particular Squirrel White and Bru McCoy with the injuries, but I just don't think Tennessee's done a very good job of getting that second group of receivers in there. And I could include Chris Brazel in there as well. There's a guy that's just custom made to say jump ball time. I mean, he doesn't need to learn the entire offense to have an impact.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. But I think again, some of this we have to question about Nico and who is he delivering the ball to. But I think that Mike Matthews will get involved. It could just be he didn't get enough first team reps in the offseason because of all the other receivers.
Yes.
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
All right. Why did they take so long to get Bru McCoy involved?
Yeah, and for context here, guys, Bru McCoy had 6 catches for 80 yards against Alabama, and he had 0 catches against Florida. And it was weird to me because the thing that's funny, Dave, is you don't have to rely on Bru for big play dimes down the sideline. Give Bru the ball on a 10-yard hitch route, and he'll break 15 tackles and get 25 more yards out of it. A lot of times he's the most physical receiver I've ever seen. The only thing I could come up with is maybe he just wasn't fully fresh coming off the injury throughout the first part of the season, and maybe they're working him in more now.
Well, that, and he's had the hand issue. I think that's why he dropped the touchdown pass against Alabama. So I think for a receiver, a hand issue is much more significant. It's open enrollment wherever you're watching Medicare Misty. Before we get to third down, remind you that she's licensed in over 40 states and can help you, no charge for her services.
19 years this year. I've been in the community since 1993. You're getting a lot of information. Unlike when you were working, they made the choice for you. Now you have to make the choice. Come to us and let us help you make it easy. Call Medicare Misty, MedicareMisty.com or 423-777-5577. Let us help them sleep at night.
And we call her Medicare Misty.
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
How has Squirrel White and his bad shoulder impacted Tennessee's development and or plans at wide receiver? I'm going to start first. A lot. And I will go back to Mike Matthews. I would hope in the off week, and I know they like to get a guy prepared at wide out or slot, and typically they don't go back and forth. They do some. But if Mike Matthews hasn't seen time with the slot, with what's going on with Squirrel shoulder, I would be very disappointed. To me, he deserves practice reps there. He deserves a shot there because he's that athletic, and Squirrel is that hurt that I'm not even sure he should be on the field.
Yeah, Mike Matthews also has the speed too. So you're right. And we know the question is, does Mike Matthews have that Dante Thornton effect where he just feels out of place in the slot and is not comfortable? At which point do you go to Braylon Staley, the 4-star out of South Carolina? Are they trying to save a redshirt for Braylon Staley, which could be possible? But you're right. I think Squirrel White's shoulder has actually been way more impactful than we're thinking because it hasn't dictated it hasn't affected how the defense covers a lot of times. It hasn't spread the field the way it needs to. He hasn't been able to. And also, I think some of Nico's incompletions, Dave, I think he misjudged Squirrel White's speed because I don't think Squirrel White's running as fast as he can or is able to run as fast as he can. I know it's a shoulder injury, but that can still affect your speed. I think Nico's misjudging that a little bit from what he worked on in practice.
It can affect your speed and the way you run. There's no question about that. What down, Coop?
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. 4th down.
Are any wide receivers seeing too much playing time? Pardon me, it's Squirrel. And I feel for Squirrel to some extent because I believe that, and I've said this before, college football has been elevated. And part of that's because of NIL. Players realize that if they ball out on Saturday, it could affect their checkbook. And there's not the resentment from the amateur athletes that are bringing in cajillions of dollars. And I think Squirrel, as a junior, is probably thinking, and it was well discussed before the season, how he has a young one now. To me, I think that Squirrel is thinking about the here and now, where I think somebody needs to pull him aside and say, listen, trust me, when you start to have a bad shoulder, you can have a bad shoulder the rest of your life. And I'm just surprised to see him. I've been surprised to see him as much on the field as he is with a bad shoulder.
I'm kind of shocked too, particularly when Tennessee has options elsewhere. Squirrel's not the only one they're playing too much, though. Dave, is it safe to say they're playing Chaz Nimrod too much now at this point?
Well, yes, but they had to learn that during a game, and he had the drop when he was wide open over the middle. You might help me with the game there. Was that I think that was the Arkansas loss. Sure,
he just doesn't get separation either.
Yeah,
I think that's the big. I mean, this whole offense is. I got to go back. I watched some Hooker highlights against Kentucky yesterday because we were watching some highlights from the 2022 game, and Wes Rucker had a point. It's almost comical how easily Jalen Hyatt just beat their secondary and got open down the field. I don't know if you'll ever see that again, will you, with this offense? Is that even possible to see that regularly?
Yeah, but okay, but in all fairness, I know he's fast, but what's he done in the NFL?
Nothing, because Cedric Tillman's better, who had a touchdown on Sunday. But part of that clearly they did something to adjust to that scheme. You're not seeing there were about 10 times a game where Hooker just had a bare receiver down the sideline. I don't, and I never understood how that happened.
No,
I think that's just been an issue now, and they haven't figured out how to address it.